What's going on, everybody? We're looking at a pretty red day across the board. Bitcoin just broke a pattern. I'm going to show you that on the chart. We also have some recent news to go over, and we're going to talk about Riot stock. I haven't looked at that in a while. We are setting up a pattern there, and we also have a breakout of a pattern on Coinbase. And I know you guys are big fans of Bitfarms, so we're going to talk about that on the chart as well. We are looking at a potential breakout there too. So if you guys get something useful out of this, you know what to do, and let's get started. And I'm sure you guys have heard the news lately, the possible spot Ethereum ETF approval. There is a deadline today. We'll see if it gets approved today. If not, it's all good. If it doesn't get approved, is it never going to get approved? I think it's going to get approved eventually. If it never gets approved, does that mean ETH is done? ETH is dead? No. But we have news that US lawmakers pressure the SEC to apply the same principles for Ethereum as they did to the Bitcoin ETFs. And we have 5 representatives that called for the US SEC and Gary Gensler to ensure a uniform and fair treatment in their review of the upcoming Ethereum ETF, similar to how they approved the Bitcoin ETF. And these 5 representatives basically say the approval of spot Bitcoin ETFs, ETPs, represents a pivotal moment for both digital assets and our financial markets. And they say, we urge the Commission to maintain a consistent and equitable approach when reviewing upcoming applications for other digital asset-backed ETPs. They didn't just mention ETH, they said other ETPs. Will we see other altcoins fighting for spot ETF approval? Maybe. Now, we also have news that the House of Reps passed the FIT 21 bill, Financial Innovation and Technology for the 21st Century. What this basically does is lets the CFTC regulate crypto rather than the SEC. CFTC commodities, SEC securities. And this is basically what the fight has been about for so long. You know, Gary Gensler fighting, saying that these cryptos are securities, so it can basically be under his reign, under his realm of jurisdiction. I think this is a big positive. And while it might seem that the SEC is warming up to crypto, you know, they were the ones that passed these spot Bitcoin ETFs. They did it very begrudgingly. They did it basically because they're forced to. So I see this FIT 21 bill as a positive. I also see what's going on here with this Ethereum ETF. The House of Representatives trying to, tell Gary that, hey, you have to look at this the same as you looked at Bitcoin, and Bitcoin was approved. You need to look at this the same way. They're basically telling him to approve it. But a lot of positive things are going on with Bitcoin, with crypto in general. Bitcoin's price action today would tell you otherwise. And while things have been looking good recently, we've been starting a recent uptrend. We did finally break a pattern. We had this support, this ascending support here. We've been just doing this kind of stair-stepping action. We run, we consolidate, which is great. We run, we consolidate. However, we just recently broke our ascending support. That is not a good thing, but it's not the end of the world. Next up, if we continue pulling down, we're going to be testing some recent levels. The good thing is we did see consolidation. Because we didn't just spike straight up, we're unlikely to spike straight down. Because we established these levels, we can potentially utilize these as supports and resistances, with our next level to watch being the 67,000. And Bitcoin has somewhat of a history at 67,000. It did find it as resistance here back in April of 2024, and of course it was resistance recently on our last run we had before we broke out of it, and we did see a nice reaction on the breakout. The market is going to react to this level. It's going to be important to hold it up. Believe it or not, guys, even from here, even with this drop, we're only 8% away from all-time highs. Things can change really quickly. A few good days can bring us back to breaking those all-time highs. So while we are breaking pattern, while we might potentially fall down, test some lower levels, you got to realize we are so close to new all-time highs. Maybe we don't see it next week. Maybe we don't see it within a month. I personally think we're going to see it sooner than people expect. I personally do think we're going to see all-time highs very soon, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it takes a few months. But the reality is we are still under 10% away from new all-time highs. That's not a big move. Bitcoin can easily do something like that. It doesn't take a lot. But perhaps for now we continue down some supports, test some previous levels. It would make sense that we head down to the 67 and test it. Right under that is our 50 MA. Our 50 MA is right at that 65,000 area. If we do break this 67, we are going to test that 50 MA. And so far things are looking good though. We are riding above a 200 MA. We are riding above the 50 MA. We recently broke out of it after finding it as resistance. I'm really hoping it holds up, and this will be what we need to bounce up and hopefully create those all-time highs again. Now, I did want to look at Ethereum. Ethereum is actually a little up today. It's still riding some potential ETH ETF hype. I'll be very careful here. I do think once these are approved, if they are approved, I think they will be, but once they're approved, we will probably see a buy the rumor, sell the news event, just like with Bitcoin. Bitcoin ran to about 49,000. The spot Bitcoin ETFs were approved. We pulled back to around 40,000 before then rallying to new all-time highs. getting all the way to the 70,000s. I would expect something similar with Ethereum. I do expect if we do get approval or if we get denial, we are going to probably head down to the 35s, test that area as support. It was a previous pretty important area for Ethereum. There were many points where we'd utilize it as support, and there were big reactions on drops of that level. But that'll be a first important level to watch. If we do retrace 35,000, I think will be pretty important. And if we do break 35, our next level will be a previous resistance we had, this roughly 32,500, 33,000. And if we continue down, this will likely be right around where our 50 EMA is. Currently the 50 EMA is right around 3,200. These are lagging indicators. It's probably still going to continue up a little bit because of this recent run, so keep that in mind. By the time we come down, if we do come down and start testing these lower levels, I would expect the 50 EMA to be right around this 3,250, 3,300 by then, and it could be a potential bouncing off point for Ethereum. I did want to talk about Riot real quick. We are looking at a pattern here. We're continuing to find resistance on this descending line, and we're continuing to find support on this ascending line. We're creating higher lows, but we're also creating lower highs. Prices consolidating, prices tightening up for a huge move. Either we're going to make a huge move to the upside, test these moving averages here, and continue running on a successful break of them. Otherwise, we're going to break our ascending support and potentially head down to our previous low here, this 930 area. Do I think Riot's going to ever head back to the $8 area this cycle? No, I don't. Do I think this is a buying opportunity here? Yes, I do. If you want to get into the miners, I do think there's a limited time. Depending on where prices go, we have anywhere from 2 months to maybe 6 months left, in my opinion. If prices really drop, we might have 6 months. If prices rally, I'd say we have less time. I'm way less bullish on a Riot if it's $20, $30 rather than down here where it's at, for instance. Same with all the other miners. Do I want to buy a Clean Spark at $30? No, not necessarily. Do I want to buy a Bitcoin when it's pushing towards 100,000? Not really, but I'll probably still DCA. Do I want to buy Ethereum if it's pushing, 5, 6, 7, 8,000? Probably not. So you got to consider that, when FOMO builds up, you want to have built out positions already so you're not getting the FOMO bug, so you're not trying to buy and chase new highs. I do see right here as a buying opportunity for Riot. You could play it based on the chart breakout. You could play a swing if it breaks to the upside. But to me, these dips are buying opportunities, and we're looking at a limited time here. I also want to briefly talk about Coinbase. I don't hold Coinbase, but now would probably be a good time to get in. We had this descending resistance for quite a while. We peaked out right around almost 300. We've continued down for quite a while here, for a few months now. It does look like we're getting a successful break out of this descending resistance, and it looks like we might be starting a new pattern. Keep an eye on this potential structure. Is just the beginning, but this is my speculation of where it could be. Something like some kind of 45-degree up angle, but we'll see how that plays out. There's another one, if you want to buy for this cycle, here is the chance to buy it. I don't see Coinbase, I don't see Riot, a lot of these other stocks, I don't see them going much lower. Sure, they might drop a little more. No one knows exactly where things are going, but if we do get these little drops, these are the buying opportunities. These are the last moments to buy. I'm not going to be saying it's time to buy 6 months from now. I'm not going to be saying it's time to buy a year from now when these stocks are at crazy prices. I will likely be saying that I'm selling covered calls, trimming positions. So just keep in mind, if you want to buy these Bitcoin miners, if you want to buy stocks like Coinbase, to me, these are the opportunities to buy. All right, now I want to show you guys Bitfarms. We have been continuing in this descending channel. It looks like we're seeing a nice break out of it. What I want to see is a break of this recent high, a break over these moving averages. Until then, we might find it as resistance. But on a successful break, I wouldn't be surprised to see Bitfarms head towards the 250s, start taking out these recent highs. One negative with Bitfarms is they did post an unprofitable quarter where many others did post profitability. Their upcoming earnings, they expect unprofitability. There are a lot of other miners that expect that as well. That's okay. Their revenue, they expect a decrease. There are a lot of miners that expect that as well. There are a few that expect an increase in revenue, however. One thing that gets me about Bitfarms is they are not to record revenue yet. They saw a peak in the last cycle of 59 million that they reported, and their last earnings was their best since. And they saw a $50 million quarter. There are a lot of other miners that have seen record revenue after record revenue for quarters now, for multiple quarters now. And Bitfarms still hasn't beaten its revenue that it saw back in the last cycle. I don't know. I don't know what you guys see in this one. But yeah, what you want to look for is a break of this downtrend. It looks like it is starting, but I do want to see a break of this previous top, this previous higher low that we saw on the way down. And where the moving averages are concerned, the 50 is getting very close to the 200, but the 50 is still above the 200. If we can get a substantial move here, if we can continue to get a push, I think it would be unlikely that these flip. If we get a little more drop, if this is a false breakout and we continue down, we might see a death cross here. I think it'll maintain it though. I think we'll maintain that golden cross. But let me know what you guys are buying right now. Is today a buying opportunity for you? Or are you already at the end of being a buyer? Are you waiting until the potential crypto winter? I do think we're looking at pretty limited time if you want to get into these miners before they start going much higher in price. And the best opportunities to buy them was back in 2022, 2023. The next best opportunity is now. But let me know what miners you guys are loading up on. What do you think about Coinbase? MicroStrategy is also another one that I like. I do own some MicroStrategy. And yeah, let me know what you guys think about the potential spot ETH ETF. Do you think they're going to get approved or not? Thanks as always for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the next one.